crazy HOA and entitled Karens on Austin Stories today, and you can also find all my videos in podcast form if you search for the Austin Stories podcast, or check out the video description for a link to a story with one of the most entitled Karens ever. Here we go. This one's going to be nasty. It's called Threaten My Pregnant Wife Over Parking, Enjoy Your Misdemeanor, HOA Jerk, posted by PR Throwaway 83094. This was last year. I just sold my home in my HOA. About 5 years ago, I bought a 1,500 square foot townhome condo in an up-and-coming town, right in the downtown area. This is a valuable property, with home prices having increased 35% since I purchased. This was a wonderful area in walking distance of everything that I loved as a single bachelor. When I moved in, all my neighbors were wonderful. We all got along great, well, except for one person. She belonged to the HOA board, but was moving on because you can only serve 8 years. We'll call her Gimpy J. Gimpy J is a 65-plus-year-old widow whose husband died unexpectedly from a heart attack. She doesn't have much to do. She met a man online and moved on, and well, I was happy for her. Talking to my passive neighbors, I hear bits and pieces of why things are at the HOA because of Gimpy J and another woman who had to move because of age. On the board, the two of them pick on residents. They change the landscaping from mulch to pine needles. They stop upkeep on the pool deck because they hate kids. They reported one house for anything and everything because their kids were too loud. She picked on a woman with multiple sclerosis because Gimpy J was feeding feral cats and attracting raccoons and possums near our homes, and animal control was called. Residents did not like her. I got married and my wife has been living with me for 2 years now at this point. We are very happy. During this time, Gimpy J began spending more and more time with her new boyfriend. He lives about an hour away from our house in the country. She would initially spend the weekend and then a week there until she began living there all the time with very little time spent here. Maybe 15 minutes to 2 hours a month would be at our complex. Now, at our complex, there is only one rule on parking. Each resident is entitled to 2 spots close to their building, but not necessarily in front of your unit, and there is no limit to parking spots you may occupy. Close to it is the key word. We have new folks on the board who are all under 40 years of age, and the place is starting to get spruced up. We have some friends over regularly, and they park in front of our unit. Gimpy J had 2 hip replacements done, and we had not seen her in about 7 months. In our little area of the complex consists of 8 townhomes that face each other, 4 on one side and 4 on the other. There are 8 spots for 3 homes and a handicap spot for one of our neighbors. Gimpy J started coming back around in January for longer periods, a day on the weekend to go out downtown or to visit friends. She started complaining that we were in her spots. Again, there are no assigned spots. We were willing to move our friends' vehicles for her to another empty spot, that is, until she started occupying 2 spots at a time with her vehicle. This behavior continued as she would come in taking 2 spots anytime she was here. The rules in the master deed say that no vehicle can take more than 1 spot without written permission from the board of directors or the property management group, and cannot continue for more than 2 days without permission. This was to account for residents moving in and out. Suddenly, that spring, my wife had a medical issue and was hospitalized for 4 days and on disability for 8 weeks. My mom was the only family member on both sides that had the capability of coming down to where we lived to help us out. She drove down and we needed to occupy 3 spots. I promptly let our property management company know and the board of directors know what was happening, providing them with my mom's make, model, and plate number, and that she would be here 6 to 8 weeks, just in case anyone had an issue. Gimpy J's first time home in 6 weeks, we had a car in front of her house, but she had room for her vehicle. She marched over and banged, and I mean banged loud on that door, demanding we move the car, and tried to open my front door and walk in my home. Yes, she tried to enter my home. It shook my dog who peed herself, it was that loud, who in turn growled and chased her out. I promptly told her there was no assigned parking, and the rule is 1 car, one spot. We moved a car out of respect one last time and saw that she occupied 2 spots with it per usual. The next time it happened, 2 weeks later, we refused to move our vehicle. We also began taking pictures for our records and communicating with our HOA of Gimpy J's erratic behavior. She continued to arrive, bang on our door, scream at us for having a car parked in her spot. One time, banging on the door, she dented the frame with her keys. A few additional times when we were not home, she would come in and park, occupying 2 spots. I would take more pictures for my records in case something happened because of her erratic behavior. Finally, it happened. About this time last year, I was at the gym and I get a call from my mom and my wife, frantic that someone is going to tow my wife's car. I drive home as fast as I can, and it's Gimpy J's boyfriend's son and his girlfriend, whom we had never met. This jerk, who doesn't even live here and has no business here, is screaming at us and insulting my pregnant wife and mother. He shouts, "My mother-in-law pays X dollars a month for these spots. You jerks are breaking the rules. I'ma tow that there SUV." All while drinking beer. Now, we know he can't do anything except scream and try to intimidate us outside. He calls his mother-in-law, who is not married to his father, about the situation. Gimpy J drives an hour to our complex. When she gets here, she parks her car behind all 3 of ours and gets out, blocking us in. And I had had enough. I quickly snapped some pictures and I called the police. I will not feel unsafe or be harassed in my neighborhood by people who do not live there or are even just barely there. Gimpy J realizes I called the police and she moves her car. I print out all of my documentation, pictures, communication from the HOA, all of it. I shower quickly because I'm disgusting from the gym and throw on a nice polo shirt and shoes. Pregnant wife sits in her rocking chair and my mother sits calmly at the kitchen table. The police arrive and we can see them hollering, waving arms wildly and screaming. The police come to the door and we kindly open up. Gimpy J tries to walk in before I block her and ask her to leave my property and invite the police officers inside. We apologize that we even have to call them over something so petty, but our neighbor is acting crazy and her behavior has been escalating. We explain what's happening. We show them communication from the HOA, show them all the pictures. The officer quickly had enough of these white trash pieces of crap. He imposes a no trespass order on my porch and will not let her near my property. If she steps foot on our walkway, she is in violation of the order and she will be arrested. We watch him go back out and explain calmly to her, and she starts screaming along with her boyfriend's kid and his girlfriend. This goes on for a while, and the officer calls for backup and a second car arrives promptly. Gimpy J promptly declares it's her property too, she pays her fees, and that he can't do that because everything is community property outside of a home. She goes and marches up to my stoop and he arrests her, charges her with disorderly conduct and harassment. The police then tell Gimpy J's boyfriend's son to go home. He gets in his truck with his white trash girlfriend and they drive off. As soon as he hits the road outside of our complex, the second police officer pulls him over for a DUI. That's right, the drunk guy screaming at my wife and mother had been drinking the entire time and he was loaded. Police couldn't do anything in the complex, but could when he hit the main road. Both of them were hauled off to the jail and we stopped hearing from them about parking. 2 days later, Gimpy J and her boyfriend show up to the complex and they park her boyfriend's car in our lot and leave it parked in one spot to ensure that it's hers. Well, they drive off and we don't hear from them in a week and no one is home. Since Gimpy J's boyfriend does not live here and his car is abandoned, I called the HOA to report it. They came and towed his SUV. Gimpy J put her house on the market 8 weeks later. Screw HOAs. Wow, you do not mess with a husband who has a pregnant wife and a mother who's coming there to help them out. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know how this Karen, Gimpy J, thought that she could get away with all of this stuff. I mean, double parking, throwing out these because I pay this money crap. And then the police come, she doesn't back down. She digs in deeper in that ditch. And then finally she gets arrested. The boyfriend's car gets towed. Her son and girlfriend gets hauled off to jail. I mean, we're bordering on nuclear here. I want to know what you think if we are or not. But OP, you dropped the hammer and you did not even care, man. Way to go. Let me know what you think too. Karen at a water park. Again, posted by Arcane Kobold. Why are there so many? Anyway, I'm the same guy as the last water park Karen, and today was a doozy, so strap in. Alright, so this time I was on the play structure. The literal snarkiest kid I have ever dealt with showed up. She was in her early teens easily. She told her little brother, I'm assuming, to go down when he definitely wasn't clear to go. I had to yell to get his attention to tell him not to go. The girl then taps on my shoulder and goes, my grandma said not to yell at her kids. I stared at her, then I just said, hey, I'm sorry, but if I need to get someone's attention quickly and they aren't listening, I'm going to yell. She gave me a death stare and then jumped down the slide. When I didn't clear her, she nearly rammed into her brother. Ha, strike one. Next time she came up, she was about to go down early and I told her, if you go down, you're on strike two. She straight out turned to me and said, I don't care, and went down. Strike two. The next time, she just ran down the slide immediately and even had the audacity to stick her tongue out at me on the way down. Strike three. The next time she came up, I told her, not so happily, sorry, but you can't go down the slide anymore today. She pouted and said, my grandma says I can. I looked her in the eyes and I replied with, well, your grandma isn't a lifeguard. I am, and what I say goes. Again, I'm a little ticked at this point. She sticks her tongue out again and goes downstairs and talks to her grandma. May the fun begin. I watched this lady walk her way up the stairs. I'm super excited at this point. Why did you tell my baby she can't go down the slide? She can go down the slide. Let her go down the slide. She came out of the gates swinging. I mean, I was not prepared for that. I replied with a simple, she broke the rules 3 times, so she can't ride the slide anymore today. She yelled back, what did she do, huh? She didn't break any rules. Let her go down. I'm trying not to smile like a dummy this entire time. I'm sorry, ma'am, but as the lifeguard, I decide who goes down the slide, and she broke the rules. She went down the slide 3 times without my permission, endangering both herself and her brother. On top of that, she outright taunted me. She can't go down the slide anymore. She turned around and said, I'm gonna go talk to your manager. They'll agree with me. Somehow, it's the same head guard as last time. I feel like it's a curse at this point, honestly. The woman comes back with my head guard trailing her. This one, he told my baby she can't go down the slide. My head guard turned to me and just said, I saw the camera footage. This was just a formality. Then he turned to the woman. Ma'am, this lifeguard is correct. Your granddaughter broke the rules 3 times and even taunted him. She cannot go down the slide. And then the unthinkable happened. She slapped him. She slapped my head guard in the face. He looked at her, dumbfounded. I stepped in before he could explode. All right, ma'am, you are now being expelled from the premises. I'm going to take you to your room. You're going to pack your things. You're going to leave along with anyone you came with. She turned to me, shocked. For what reason? I paid to be here. I'm gonna stay. I'm just dumbfounded. You assaulted an employee. It doesn't matter if you paid to be here. Now, let's go to your room so you can pack. She just grunted and said, fine, I didn't want to stay here anyway. My head guard put his hand on my chest and stopped me. I can handle it. Stay on play. I nodded and they walked away. I watched him take her to her family, and he explained what happened, and then he escorted them out. So that was easily the most insane thing I've seen at this park. I'm writing this on my break, and this happened just about 20 minutes ago. I would just love to be in that grandma's head to understand why she did what she did. I mean, is it not clear enough? Did OP not explain that she just broke the rules 3 times? That's it. That's all there is to it. Like, how is it that complicated? I'm trying to think of this more complicated answer, and it's not. Does she believe her perfect daughter? I guess so. But you know what? This granddaughter here, rather, was endangering her brother, and just that's it. That's it. You lose. OP wins. Let me know what you think. Way to go, OP. The HOA invades my privacy, so I lawyer up and cost them thousands. Click the video on your screen. You don't want to miss the crazy fallout there, and I will see you in that next one.